call the Monday, January 13th organizational meeting to order. Roll call.
Mrs. Nazario.
Here.
Mr. Ferguson.
Here.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes, here.
Mrs. Washington.
Here.
Mr. Sturgill.
Here.
Our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Helen Steiner Rice. Do you have the students?
Yes, they're here. I got a question for order. Would you like their pledge and presentation at the same time for this organization?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yes.
and then they don't have to wait.
Yeah,
Okay. So
it's
at
better
this
for
time,
them.
I'd like to bring up to the podium Ms. Brittany Brookbank, principal of Helen Steiner Rice, to introduce students, lead us in the pledge, and then after the pledge, they'll tell us a little bit more about what they're going to talk to us about relative to their house school system.
No, it's, I'm just using this.
All right, so I'm Brittany Brookbank, principal, Helen Steiner Rice Elementary. I have 3 students with us this evening, 4th and 5th graders. We have Scarlett, Ariel, and Braylon here with us. So we'll start with the pledge and then we will share our information. You ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so we would like to first start to thank our school board. So Ariel would like to present you with a thank you from the students and staff from Helen Steiner Rice
that's cool.
Elementary. I'm gonna go take it.
Thank you.
That's beautiful.
I love it. Thank you so much. Thank
Oh, 'cause it is school board
Good job.
appreciation.
All right, so the students that I brought here tonight are going to share a little bit about a new system that we have been really excited about putting into place. Our students in 4th and 5th grade are all participating in what is known as the Ron Clark House System. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. And then they have some questions that I will ask them. They're going to share their perspective on it so far this school year. One of our 5th grade teachers worked hard and received a grant to be able to fund this whole program, and it has been really neat and very motivating, not only to get our students to school to improve attendance, but also watching them work together as a team, and it's just been a very unique and exciting thing to watch. So the Ron Clark House System is an innovative approach to fostering community, teamwork, and positive school culture. So it's inspired by the Ron Clark Academy. The system divides students and staff into houses with each of their own names, their colors, and values. The houses compete in friendly challenges. We celebrate achievements and encourage peer support, creating a sense of belonging and motivation for everyone. By emphasizing leadership, collaboration, and character building, the house system inspires students to take pride in their school and their personal growth while promoting a vibrant, unified school environment. The houses at Helen Steiner Rice are Amistad, I can't say it, Isabindi, I'm very bad at the names, Nukamori, and Unraka. I didn't choose those names, as you can tell. If you want to see more about what being in a house looks like, join us for a special Spin Friday during lunch or during a monthly house meeting. So we have staff that have all been put into the 4 different houses, and Fridays are really exciting as they're spinning the wheel and trying to earn those points, which they will share how they earn those points. So it's been very, very fun. So the first question that the students have prepared, Scarlett, is Would you like to tell them which house you are in? Speak loud.
I'm in Enzabindi.
Okay, and her question is, what is your favorite part of being in your house and why?
My favorite part about being in Enzabindi is that we are the house of courage and that we are like a family at school. We help each other out and encourage each other to do the best we can.
Very good. Awesome. All right. And our next student, Ariel, would you like to tell them which house you're in?
I'm in Nukamori.
Okay. And Ariel's question is, how does earning points for your house make you feel? And what's the best way you've earned points?
The best way after I earn points, I feel proud and happy. I'd say my best way earning points is from good character.
Very good. Awesome. All right. Braylon, come on up. Which house are you in? Amistad, the one I can't say very well. What are some ways your house has motivated you to work harder or to try new things?
Some ways my house has motivated me is I feel like I belong and I'm a part of something.
Okay, awesome. And we have one more student who has joined us. Nehemiah, come on up. Nehemiah, would you like to tell them which house you are in? Amistad, proudly Amistad. All right, Nehemiah, how do you think the house system helps make your school a better place?
I think it helped Helen Rice, where our attendance has been off the charts, our kids have been well behaved, and it's put a lot of lonely kids with a group of friends.
Awesome, thank you. All right, that is a little bit. Does anybody have anything else they would like to share about our house system? No? They're very shy. They're not at school, I promise. The reason why they were chosen, which I think is really important to note, is that their classmates elected house leaders, and these are 4 of the 8 house leaders that are part of the house system. So that's how we chose the students that were going to participate tonight. So they're very well respected and great leaders in our building.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you. We need to get a picture of them.
So as the students are getting their certificates, we're gonna do a picture with the board, and we all share. Come on up. Off and yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, yes, it can.
You are right. Now I can't get that smell out of my nose.
I love it.
I'll be sneezing in a minute.
Yeah.
Hey,
I just wanted
was some
to
harder names to pronounce.
quickly also say a huge thank you to Mr. Evans. Tom Evans will be joining us for the second half of the school year while Mrs. Ward is out on maternity leave. So thank you so much for joining us this evening.
he's a good guy.
Yes. This is the boring part of the meeting, so if you want to leave, this is the time, yeah, to go.
Thank you all.
Thank you. That was as well organized a presentation as we've had.
I agree. I agree. The last kid came in, he was clutch.
Yours looks a little different, but just, I didn't have that. We're okay.
Oh,
I didn't have the details there.
okay.
Is there no hearing of the budget in this meeting?
Not this one.
Okay.
This is just the ordinance.
Okay.
Okay. We have, we do not have any new members, so we don't have to do an oath of office for new members. Nomination and election of president. We need yes, a nomination.
We don't have to vote to open it, just.
No,
We start with a nomination.
we just start with the nomination.
Okay. I'd like to nominate Mr. Jay Ferguson for president.
Any other nominations? Motion to close nominations?
So moved.
Roll call? Or, I'm sorry, a second? Can I have a second?
So moved.
A roll call?
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
And vote on presidency.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Okay. Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Declaration of President, the board has approved Shay Ferguson, President of the Board of Education. Congratulations.
Thank you. You finished this meeting, though.
I know, but I was moving so you can do. Scooch up that shit.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge your duties as board president of the Board of Education of Lorain City School District, Lorain County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office and until your successor is elected and qualified?
Yes, I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you gotta sign something.
I know.
Thank you.
Yes?
Yes.
Nomination and election of vice president. Nominations? Me. Barbie Washington. I nominate Barbie Washington.
Second.
I don't think you need a
I
second.
don't think we need a second. We need a motion to close nomination.
Any other nominations?
Oh, any other nominations, sorry. A motion to close nominations? Can I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Support.
Thank you. And a vote on vice presidency.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Declaration of Vice President is Miss Barbie Washington. Congratulations.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge your duties as board vice president of the Board of Education of Lorain City School District, Lorain County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office and until your successor is elected and qualified.
You ready? Okay. Fixing the day, time, and place of regular Board of Education meeting. Currently, the board meetings are the second and fourth Mondays of the month at 5 o'clock here in the first floor boardroom. Anybody, motion to?
I'll make a motion to continue the same schedule.
I support that.
I will make a motion to hold the meetings at 6 o'clock based on feedback from the community that we meet too early and they can't attend.
Do you want a conversation on this?
Yes, go ahead, of course.
Yeah.
Well, we've tried all this before. We've tried to change the dates.
Didn't you meet at
We've
7
changed the day of the week. We've changed the dates. And we just never got a response. I mean, I'm going into my 16th year. And I've changed it for everybody's convenience. And yet nothing has changed. Okay, I would vote to stay the same as we are right now. Okay, unless it, maybe this, how does the city meet?
5:30, I think. Is it?
I'm not so much the time as their day.
Oh, they meet the first and third
Right.
Monday for their meetings.
Yeah, we are opposite
And the
them.
second and fourth for their committee meetings.
Yeah, I can't see us changing for their committee meetings. There was a time when we wanted to try to accommodate the people from the
Went to
media.
Tuesday.
And that, I don't know where they went, but I don't think there's anybody here from the media right now, is there?
No, that's the
But,
council.
like I said, we've tried making it convenient for everybody, so I think we should make it convenient for ourselves.
Well, I think the TV 20 option and YouTube hopefully makes it more convenient for people to follow what's going on, and, express concerns. Everybody that makes a phone call receives a phone call. So I'm suggesting that we stick with 5 p.m. out of respect for the ladies and gentlemen who have to be here after their workday.
I agree.
But you want to make, you made the motion then, right, that we stick to the same
Yes.
thing?
We stick to the same thing, that's what we
That's-
vote on that, okay.
There's actually two motions on the floor, and so
Barbie's-
we gotta wait and see if she gets a
There wasn't a
second.
Second, does anybody, sorry.
That would have to be an amendment to the
to
original
the
motion.
original motion? Because we had
No,
a,
there's
She made
two
a motion.
motions.
well, we already had a second to the
We
motion.
already had an
It
open.
doesn't
I
matter.
did before you, yeah.
But you haven't had a second yet.
No, not yet.
Right, that's what we're saying. Do we have a second for Barbie's motion? Of changing the time and date of the meeting? No.
So then we're voting on the original.
So we're gonna vote on the original
To keep it
motion,
as is.
which is keeping it the second and fourth Mondays at 5 o'clock here in the board meeting room. Roll call.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes,
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington.
No.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Tape and televise regular board meetings. Can we-
You need a motion.
I need a motion
So
to
moved.
continue. A second.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call.
I appreciate TV 20.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Dr. Ballard?
Yes.
The fixing the date, time, and place of the annual Records Commission meeting, which would be June 10th, 2025 at 9 o'clock here in the board meeting room. And we need to vote to approve that date. And this is for the Records Commission meeting. No, you're fine. Second,
Go for it.
roll call?
Mrs. Washington?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Dr. Ballard?
Yes.
Do we have that on?
I'm sorry.
Okay. Motion for consent.
Items 10.01 to 17.03.
No, we're gonna do a motion for consent agenda first.
We're going to do I need a motion to be voted on as a consent agenda items. So we can do
moved.
them all together.
Support.
Roll call?
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Dr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mrs. Washington?
Yes.
And items 10.01 to 17.03.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call?
3 is what I remember.
Dr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario?
Sorry.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Can I go back to the question?
Uh-huh.
I know we received the email today. Did we pick the people that will be representing for the, like, the student
We haven't got
achievement
to,
liaison?
we haven't got to that yet.
Got you?
That's 18.
18.
Sorry, I went too far.
Student Achievement Liaison, appoint one board member as the district's Student Achievement Liaison.
I'd like to nominate Barbie Washington to continue in that role.
Any other nominations?
Any other nominations? Any discussion? Roll call.
Thank you, Mr. J.
And can we have a second?
No, we
For
didn't
that
have a
one?
second.
Can we have a second?
Okay, I have a second.
Do you need a second?
For this one, we do.
She needs one for this one.
So moved.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario?
Yes.
Dr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mrs. Washington?
Yes.
Committee appointments.
For the motion to keep as is.
Motion to keep as is.
So moved.
A second?
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario?
Yes.
Dr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mrs. Washington?
Yes.
And a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
No.
Okay.
The other items that we were emailed, do we have to appoint those people at this meeting?
I think they
Those
were.
were-
No, because legislative liaison, we already have that as a committee member. We
Okay.
have Mark and you are the two. And then the other one was our legal counsel, and we already have our
That's
legal
filled in
counsel
already.
that we use.
Got you. Thank you. Sorry.
Yep.
That's okay.
No, good question.
And a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
A roll call.
Dr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mrs. Washington?
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to switch seats or you just
Don't
want
go
to stay
anywhere
there?
yet.
You want to sit here?
Just give me the hammer.
Keep on the camera. And then here's this one, because she already has it
Yeah.
highlighted, so you can have this one.
That's what I
It's
was
really
getting
good.
ready to go after.
Nope, yeah, you can have that one.
And she like has everything, I don't think there's anything else. There shouldn't be anything else in this one. This is.
I'd like to call the regular board meeting of Monday, January 13th to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
Dr. Ballard.
Here.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes. Here.
I need a motion to suspend the order since we did the pledge in the earlier meeting.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion. Roll call.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes, sorry.
Recognition of visitors. Hi, visitors. Any- First hearing of the public. Please enter and sign in.
Good evening. Congratulations,
Thank
Mr.
you.
President and Madam Vice President. I am here because this month we recognize school board I'm Krista Lockage, Director of Communications for
that.
Lorain City Schools. This month we recognize School Board Recognition Month in Ohio, a time to honor the dedication and service of you, our local school board members. You all volunteer countless hours making difficult decisions to ensure that our students receive the best possible education. The theme this month is School Board Superheroes, which you all certainly are. You are true champions of public education. You work tirelessly to create opportunities for our children's futures. And tonight, we would like to take a moment to present certificates to our board members as a small token of our deep appreciation for the service that you provide your community. And if Mr. Scott and Mr. May would like to present them with their certificates.
Big reveal of who I am. Here we go. If I can open them.
And again, congratulations and thank you again.
Thank you.
You used to be an athlete.
Congratulations, and thank you for all that you do. And Ferguson,
Thank you, sir.
you do. And Dr. Ballard.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, sir.
No other public?
Mr. Ferguson, can I say,
Yes, please.
I know on behalf of Dr. Graham, he'd have some words about the work that you do, you all do as board members, and I just, on behalf of Dr. Graham and all of our employees, the countless hours that go on behind the scenes to make sure that advocacy, justice, representation of the community occurs, shouldn't go undervalued. I think oftentimes as leaders, a lot comes your way, and you've consistently all handled that with grace and dignity. And I'm proud to serve under you, so thank you for all that you do and continue to do for not only Lorain City Schools, but the community as large.
Thank you, and I'd like to add special thanks to Courtney from the rest of us for your leadership these past couple of years, and I hope to carry on in your tradition.
Thank you.
I need a motion to approve.
The rest of the first hearing.
Do we have any more? Oh, we do. I looked and I didn't see you. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Hello, everybody. All right, so my name is Kaylee Finley. We, as an elementary school counseling team, wanted to take this opportunity to approach the board and approach leaders in our district and everyone here, just to share a little bit about the impact we get to have on the community of Lorain and our students. So again, Kaylee Finley, I'm at Helen Steiner Rice Elementary School. And next week we'll be celebrating National School Counseling Week. So that's always celebrated that first week of February. And in that time, it's an opportunity actually for us to advocate for our students through informing and educating others on our role. Instead of being celebrated, we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to push through more resources or make more connections to make sure our students have the supports that they need. So this year's theme for National School Counseling Week is helping students thrive. And so I appreciate you taking a few moments here just to listen to me share about some of what we're able to do. Kesley, she's the counselor at Palm Elementary, handed you guys just a couple of visuals so that way when I'm gone and I speed through this really quick, there's something for you to refer to later, or if you have questions, you can always contact any of us or refer to your packet there. Again, the year is helping students thrive, and we thank you for listening as we are able to explain some of that, how we're able to give our students a lot of different exposure opportunities and provide different tiered interventions and supports to meet those student needs. Those supports and interventions heavily rely on the connections we're able to make with our students, their families, the community, and the staff within our buildings. Without that collaboration and those relationships, a lot of what we do wouldn't be as successful as it's able to be. The American School Counseling Association, or ASCA, really identified 3 pillars that help establish a successful school counseling program. So every district has one. There is a QR code on the front of your packet. If you scan that, but hopefully you have access elsewhere, but it will pull that resource up for you in its entirety. But those 3 pillars are academic, career, and social emotional development. The implementation of elementary school counselors is actually a rather new endeavor. We only started in fall of 2021. So we're seeing our impact grow, but we're looking forward to the further impact we're able to create. Our model aligns directly with the We Believe strategic plan. We're also focusing on equity and healthy culture and student supports, the teaching and learning factor, and even the Titan Improvement Plan. Many of those cornerstones are things that our school counselors are helping support and impact every day through the work they're doing across the different levels in our district. In our unique role, we're neither administrators nor teachers. It is a very, like I said, a unique position to be in, but it also fosters different connections. We're able to have different connections with our families and our students that are different than most get to experience. With that, it's a privilege to serve and create those relationships. And when I say a privilege, I truly mean it's a privilege for us as counselors. For our students, that's a fundamental right, having access to the supports we are able to provide and help our staff feel empowered to do so. Our role is inclusive. We're able to support lots of varying needs and advocate for the whole child. We're able to provide a specialized approach. A lot of times on those meetings and teams we serve on in our buildings, that is seeing and encouraging others to see the child as a whole and in its entirety instead of children, just in that academic sense. That also allows us to ensure that some of those barriers of access can be identified, addressed, and removed as we work to eradicate the inequities that our families and our students face. We use a lot of data to guide what we do, and of course that plan does outline it for you. Specifically some of the monthly themes that we are helping students learn about or the skills that we are encouraging them and modeling for them. But we get that data through that panorama survey. I know that is a new resource, but we are using some of that to kind of be the backbone of the work we do. That really shows us an outline of what we still need to work on and some of the goals we still have. But again, those panorama surveys, referrals we receive from parents, from teachers, from students themselves who are learning to advocate and use their own voices, and also, of course, our experience of being on the ground in the buildings. With all of that, we're able to identify a few specific concerns. Of course, self-management and regulation is huge, and then connectedness to school and community. That is an area we definitely need to improve, but now that we have such a great sense of measurement, we're able to do that a little bit more effectively and with more targeted approaches. The other huge thing that we work to support in our schools, and I'm sure it's like this across the grade bands, are those essential needs like clothing, food, and different hygiene items. Those are things that we do every single day and support, or needs we support every single day in our buildings. While our growth is apparent and it is trending in a positive direction, we understand that there is a lot of room for improvement. There's a lot of work to do, and we're able and excited to make that impact, that greater impact over time. ASCA has long recommended a 250 to 1 school counselor ratio, which would allow the optimal results for most successful student outcomes. In the elementary schools, our ratios are very similar. I know we have one high flyer, shout out to Sharon at Larkmore, but most of our schools are around that 300 range. So although it's not right at 250, we are in a unique position and a blessed position to be able to be close to that and provide and accomplish a lot more supports than typical. With that, we have accomplished a lot from the beginning of the school year in August until December. Collectively, we have supported directly 3,716 students, specifically with individual short-term counseling supports, small group interventions, which is a more targeted approach when a student or group of students needs a little bit more practice on a specific skill or topic if they didn't quite get it in that tier 1 area, and also holiday or resource allocation. Resource allocation may include those hygiene items. It may include winter weather gear. Most of us have care closets or have, resources ready to send home with students. So that's what that includes. We have also created and facilitated 604 total classroom lessons. They are preventative in nature and skill-based. So we are exposing them to different skills that would allow them to be successful, a lot of them relating to self-management and emotion regulation or identification. And also big topics are diversity and inclusion, self-esteem, accepting the unique self, and looking forward to opportunities to learn more about students, and self-regulation, as I mentioned. There have been a total of 251 crisis support interventions, and those also include any more intensive referrals submitted. So students that have a higher level of need than a short-term solution-focused approach that we would take, that also is inclusive of that. We are seeing a decrease in violence and peer conflict within our buildings. That has gone down tremendously. We're seeing an increase in student ability to effectively identify their feeling and use or pair an effective coping skill to self-regulate or manage those big feelings. If you ask any of the students at Rice or at Washington about their pretzel breaths, I'm sure any of them would demonstrate. We should have had some of my friends earlier do that as well. And we're seeing staff empowered to support the whole child as opposed to just the academic one. Truly seeing all of the things that we need to invest into our students to understand that sometimes those needs come before being able to focus on a task in front of a desk. So I have seen so much growth, especially in my building this year alone, and it has been amazing to see. As educators, we're not always granted that position or that experience of watching the seeds that we plant and nourish grow or really turn into anything. We hope that one day that one conversation or that skill we were able to really instill in a child does something for them and leads them to amazing places, but we don't always get to see it. However, my 4 years now in Lorain have really allowed me a lot of those opportunities where it's refreshing, it's rejuvenating, and I'm able to see the impact sometimes almost immediately. So I would say as a school counselor in Lorain, our students here are in full bloom. And I know we have areas to go. I know it's cheesy, but it's so exciting to see their growth almost every day. But I want to thank you for letting us speak today and understanding the critical role school counselors and elementary school counselors play in the success and future of Lorain City Schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
So let me take the liberty
Please.
of saying, first of all, you guys coming out to support is amazing. The presentation was amazing. And after, 12 or 14 years, this is what I've been looking for from all the leadership in our district. So kudos to you all for taking on that initiative. And at least one board meeting a month, we need all the leaders telling us what they do, how they do it, the challenges that they're having, and how we can help. We spend millions of dollars with them, and we don't hear from them enough. So thank you for that.
Yes.
Thank you for that. That's it.
Very good. Anyone else? I need a motion to consider approval of the minutes from the December 16th special meeting, the board waiving the right to read those minutes.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Washington,
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario,
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson,
Yes.
Dr. Ballard,
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Reports and recommendations of the treasurer. Oh, old business, I'm sorry, I skipped it because I checked it off. I'm new at this. Reports and recommendations of the treasurer.
I have items 8.01 through 8.05 for approval.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call?
Dr. Ballard,
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mrs. Washington?
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario?
Yes.
Reports and recommendations of the superintendent personnel matters.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ferguson. Before asking for approval of items on behalf of Dr. Graham, I'd like to invite Pat Coleman, Chris Lockage, and Drew Stevens for a brief presentation regarding Power School. And while they're coming up, I do want to take time to thank this team for getting information, sharing information in a very transparent manner, even when some things were difficult to hear and there's a lot of questions from not only our staff but also community at large. Once again, a theme that I like to carry over is the hours beyond what some might consider a traditional work day, working into the weekend to make sure that we had the most accurate, timely information, and advocating on behalf of our staff and students and families alike. Oftentimes that does go unnoticed, but since I have a mic right here and they were walking up, I just want to take that moment to thank you three for your leadership, and I look forward to the information that you share right now.
Thanks. Good evening, board members. I want to start by giving you a bird's eye view of exactly what happened with Power School. Power School is our student information system. It's a little bit more, actually it's much more than just grade books. It's a warehouse where tons of data is stored. And Mr. Coleman's going to describe exactly what that data is. But I want to describe what happened. We were notified last week of Power School's data being breached, which happened in the previous month. This wasn't some high-tech brute force hack. This was simply a bad actor getting credentials to the back end of a lot of data held on a lot of servers. As many as 18,000 districts are affected, not just us, not just Elyria, not just Oberlin, but many, many districts in as many as 100 countries is the number we heard just recently. Basically, the bad actor got into all of these server databases and then downloaded all of the student tables and the teacher tables. That's just a lot of data about both of those groups. It started on December 19th was when, going back through logs, Power School was able to first realize that there was unauthorized access to their systems. December 19th through the 21st, this intruder did a lot of looking around, looking at all of the different servers to see what data was accessible to them. And then on December 22nd, started exporting or exfiltrating all of this data to somewhere local where they could keep it and look through it themselves. On December 28th, they reached out to Power School and said, hey, I have all this data and I'm going to do some pretty malicious things with it unless you give me some money, which seems to be, at the end of the day, the motivation behind this intrusion. After December 28th, Power School reached out to an organization called Cyber Steward. Cyber Steward is a cyber warfare negotiator, an organization that works on behalf of someone like Power School directly with the bad actor and says, let's come up with a price and settle this matter. You get rid of the data, we pay you off, it's done with. They also reached out to CrowdStrike, which is a cybersecurity firm that excels in forensic analysis of cyber attacks such as this. Now, what Power School is reporting to us is that through this negotiation, all of the data has been contained, it's been deleted, and no other copies of it exist. That's what they've been reporting to us. I'm going to turn the mic over to Ms. Lockich in a few minutes, and she can describe those communications and what they've been telling us. But Mr. Coleman has a lot of information on the data itself and what we use Power School for. Do you have any questions for me on the technical nature of this before we continue?
Thank you.
Thanks. Good evening, Board. Pat Coleman, Executive Director of Educational Technology and Student Services, and we'll stick around and answer any questions you have if questions arise during my piece or Ms. Lockich's piece. So yeah, this was a global level attack, global level breach. So we find ourselves in the unfortunate set of circumstances alongside of, speaking in approximations, about 60 million students across 18,000 school districts and around 100 countries. We are victims. So they attacked specifically PowerSchool, right, which is our student information system. So PowerSchool represents our SIS and our vendor. They're our vendor from the standpoint of they are the organization that we trust to safeguard all sorts of data. Not to get too in the weeds, but think grade books, think schedules, think staff names, staff attendance records for students, all that fun stuff. Now, a lot of what was exfiltrated, which is a new word I'm learning, a lot of what was exfiltrated was relatively inert. So things like name, it's publicly accessible information, educator credential, publicly accessible information. But then they certainly got their hands on some very sensitive data. And the most concerning are Social Security numbers. So they got a small group, a small cadre of Social Security numbers of staff members, and a very large number of Social Security numbers with respect to our students. So once we kind of discovered, the scale of the breach, the sensitive nature of the breach, we did what we do here in Lorain, and we formed a team. So the three of us have been working pretty closely together since Thursday morning, all day Thursday, all day Friday, communication over the weekend, and certainly today, with the goal being to, first and foremost, communicate what we know when we know it, being as transparent and empathetic as we can be, given the super unfortunate set of circumstances. So on the communication side, in terms of kind of what we know when we know, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Lockett.
Hi, again, Krista Lockage, Director of Communications and Community Relations. So the communication strategy, as Mr. Coleman said, we formed a small team of the three of us. We met on January 8th. The communication strategy timeline is as follows. January 8th, initial staff notification in the evening. January 9th, family notification and targeted staff. By targeted staff, I mean the very small group of staff whose Social Security numbers were compromised. They were notified. Direct contact, so the three of us split up the group and called the teachers and staff members, and then a follow-up email went out letting them know that their Social Security numbers were compromised. We followed up with a communication to all staff saying what we knew at that point. On January 10th, student impact notification went out, and again, it was a phone call and a follow-up email. Actions, targeted phone calls and emails to affected staff, step-by-step password reset and guidance that was out of an abundance of caution sent out today to families, to parents. A transparent updates to all stakeholders, ongoing communication plan for support services. So we're awaiting PowerSchool to give us a timeline for the credit monitoring they have promised and additional support measures to be communicated. And then finally, our current status, immediate actions taken, which I just went over, communication strategy implemented, ongoing monitoring and assessment between the three of us and their relationships with Meta and PowerSchool, and awaiting PowerSchool support implementation. Do you have any questions for me? Do you have any questions for Mr. Stevens or for Mr. Coleman?
You were able to locate all the names that were compromised?
The staff members, yes. The current students, yes. The previous students, not yet. And we think that PowerSchool
Is that based on PowerSchool cooperation?
No, that was our internal,
Okay.
investigation.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else for you guys? Yeah, if follow up, email us, reach out, text us, whatever you need.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. On behalf of Dr. Graham, I'd like the board to consider items 9.01 through 9.06 personnel matters.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call?
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Dr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mrs. Washington?
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario?
Yes.
Okay. once again, on behalf of Dr. Graham, I'd like the board to consider items 10.01 through 10.06 operation matters.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call?
Mrs. Washington,
Yes.
Dr. Ballard,
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson,
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario,
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
And lastly, on behalf of Dr. Graham, I'd like the board to consider item 11.01 other matters, which is a resolution for school board recognition.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call?
Mr. Sturgill,
Yes.
Dr. Ballard,
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington,
I was gonna say no, but I'll say yes.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
That's all we have.
Thank you very much. Any new business? Com-
Yes, I want to ask us to think about creating a policy or a procedure for graduation. We had the incident that occurred last year, and just to prevent anything like that from happening again, to talk about who we would find, I guess, appropriate, if we do that, whoever does that, but to address that concern, who would be able to hand out diplomas?
I'm sure that's something that Dr. Graham can take under advisement. I don't know that that would be a policy matter as much as it would be a procedure, but it should be spelled out.
I made a note.
Thank you.
It could probably be an administrative guideline.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Committee reports and requests from board members. Second hearing of the public? Public? Please.
I had the opportunity this Saturday to attend the Teaching Lorain session in partnership with the Historical Society. I just want to encourage, if you haven't been a part of that and there's opportunities in the future, which looking for Vicki, I'm sure that we will also continue to support that. But the teachers, Chris, Andreas, one of our secretaries, Mary, in partnership with Barb Piscopo from the Historical Society, did a great job organizing, and they have over the last few years. I got invited into that community of learners, and it was a full day. So getting there at 8 o'clock, staying until a little after 3. Lots of learning, lots of community there. I believe there's 3 more sessions on Wednesdays coming up in the next few months. The one thing I'll say is that there were some people that weren't able to attend because of the weather and illnesses, because it's that season. I do believe there may be opportunities, if you are interested in maybe joining, to still get a hold, because we had a homework assignment for those that couldn't attend, and that was to watch a film. And the film was a powerful film, so I do think there's opportunities where you can still engage. So if this commercial encourages you to want to get involved, please reach out to me, and I'll get you in the right direction of the right people.
Well, now
Give a plug for teaching Lorain.
You've opened the door. What's the name of the film and where is it available?
I'm not gonna tell you. You gotta join, and then you'll get more information. That would be, putting out all the goods without.
That was a request from a board member. That's number
I'll hit you on the
13.
backside.
I would like to second that. I participated in Teaching Lorain as well, and I learned a lot. I think it's a great opportunity.
Cool. The next regular scheduled board meeting, January 27th, 2025 at 5 p.m. right here. We have no executive session matters, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call?
Dr. Ballard,
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario,
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson,
Yes.
Mrs. Washington,
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.